Hello, friendos and randos. Welcome back to the finals of the championship 25-26 season 2 3 on 3 autumn. We are joined by the Dokuda Pirates and the 36 Familia, which we have seen on stream already, I believe, in the top 16 match. And here, what we're going to be seeing is the two teams on very slightly different team comps, just one different leader between the two of them. Both of them have their red blue ace in the first seat, and Imu on seat 2 or 3 respectively, and lastly Green Zoro and red purple Roger. So we do have three slightly different leaders from the previous match, so no exact mirror match. However, it is going to be a great match regardless. Now let's head right into the final game of today's very long and arduous 3 on 3 tournament. And it looks like we are going to be watching the Green Zoro here versus Black Emu, and the Green Zoro player is going to be going first. Of course, with Black Emu, you really want to be going second. Instead, look at the hand of the Green Zoro player here. 3-cost Mihawk and the PRB 02 4-cost Zoro instead of the OP13 one, which is what he probably wants to see, as well as that brand new film 6-cost Law as well, making its appearance. Meanwhile, for the Black Emu, a 2-cost Saint Charles and the Saint Jupiter 7-cost. But nothing else in particular. Does have that 1-cost Searcher to look for a play on the Fordon turn, or to look for a Shaoria. And we are seeing just both players getting ready, warming up their hands, pulling up their sleeves, getting ready for the most important match of the day in the grand final. They really want to, of course, bring it home all the way. No Searcher start for Zoro, no Perona or Hiyori here, and we'll just go ahead and pass. Leader effect discarding the Mary Joa stage. The anti-throne has already been selected. We aren't going to be replacing that. Here is the 1-cost event Searcher now. The 5 elders are at your service. Here is a Saint Sharia now taken, not taking the 2-cost Saint Charles as well as the 2-cost Saint Mjosgard, and now going to play down that Saint Sharia as well here, looking at the top 3 for a Celestial Dragon type card, and the 5 elders are at your service, or the world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever are the two choices, and it's looking to be that equilibrium so that we have some additional counter value for Figon in this matchup, which is of course going to be very, very important. With the secondary effect of Sharia, you do have to discard a card, and the Saint Marcus Mars is going to be the target for Luca. For Figon, and Luca here actually top decks into the 1-cost Scratchman Apu, so he can punish and rest this Saint Sharia before Figon has the chance to use his leader effect and discard the Sharia from the board to draw an additional card. But that would also mean that Luca is not developing any bodies or providing any damage this turn, and so elects for that 8k swing into the face of Figon, putting him down to 3 life already. Now back to Figon's Fordon turn, doesn't really have a play right now, so we might expect him to use his leader effect on this Sharia first to look for more options. Does have another Sharia in hand as well, but is unlikely to want to play that right now, especially because the 5-cost Tashigi turn is coming up next, and we all know how Green Zoro plays. Now, not a single 4-cost Elder available for Figon, might have to force the 1-cost Sharia to search instead, and will indeed be looking for an Elder to play. Does only find the 10-cost one instead. Here is Never Existed, take it to hand. Another counter event to provide even more defense for Figon, and instead will use Sharia's second effect now to discard a card as well. This is going to be quite painful for Figon because he does have to not use his leader effect just yet, which is going to be a little bit frustrating for sure. Once again, having to have this Sharia stick on the board and leaving it vulnerable to Zoro's swings is going to be a little bit unfortunate. However, he is going to be a little bit lucky since Luca hasn't really found anything that you usually want to be seeing as the Green Zoro player here. In particular, that 4-cost OP13 Zoro. Now we're going to see St. Charles discarded for the effect of St. Sharia putting another card into the trash, and Figon is actually going to go for another St. Sharia here, searching even deeper into his deck, still looking for options. He sees another 10-cost 5 Elder Stars again, but at least finally picks up that Saint Saturn. And looking at the number of Saints that we have at the moment for Figon, he only has Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. So we're still missing Nazgûl and Valkyrie for that crucial 10 Dawn turn. Now, we're going to see him discard a Jupiter for the effect of the Sharia, and Figon effectively has gone down on hand size this turn because he was forced to play Sharia twice without being able to use his leader effect either time. Now, the good thing now for Figon is that Luca actually doesn't have a Tashigi or anything like that to play down this turn, and Luca will have to look for options with his 1-cost Perona here. So we're looking for the Tashigi or a Cavendish or even a 4-cost Zoro to play off of the Mihawk that's currently in hand, and that is going to be an option. 4-cost Zoro being played here would allow a 3 more Dawn to attach to leader and still swing. I don't think we're going to be seeing that Apu make his way onto the board though to rest one of these Sharias. At the end of the day, we are going to see the 4-cost Zoro picked up for Luca, and he is going to be playing it off of the effect of this ST12 green 3-cost Mihawk, and there he comes. Onto the board is the world's strongest swordsman Dracul Mihawk, playing down his protege Roranoa Zoro. On play, sets 2 Dawn active and goes for another 8k swing into the face of Figon, who will be able to counter out with the Never Existed that he picked up just the last turn. End of turn, this Roranoa Zoro will set himself active, making a very irritating body for Figon to deal with. Looking at the options so far though, he doesn't really have that much left in the tank. For Luca, he doesn't have Koshiro in order to protect his student and his very first disciple, this 4-cost Zoro. And looking at his hand as well, he doesn't have a follow-up play for the following turn. There's no Tashigi, there's no Cavendish. He might have to play this Law and play it into a 5-cost Kawamatsu, which is obviously not an ideal play either, being just a 5-6 understated vanilla. Although it does have that 2k counter to make up for it. Figon now though does use his leader effect to get rid of one of those Saint Sharia from last turn, and this turn will be able to play the Saint Marcus Mars in order to get rid of this 4-cost Zoro, which doesn't have anything protecting it at the moment. There's no 3-cost Tashigi, there's no 2-cost Shimotsuki Koshiro, so we can see this be removed from the board with that Marcus Mars. Unfortunately though, Figon has already used his leader effect on one of those Saint Sharias from last turn, so that is why he does have to consider his play for the rest of the turn. It is going to be that Saint Marcus Mars held in hand, and the bird will make its appearance. Now, will discard 1 to get rid of most likely this 4-cost Zoro. We're counting the cards in the trash, currently at 16. Leader effect will bring it down to 17 after the Mars effect to discard. Sorry, does have a 1-cost Shirahoshi, but will be discarding that to KO the 4-cost Zoro. Really wants to hold on to this 2-cost Saint Charles, because despite blockers not being as effective into Green Zoro, if you do have multiple blockers, it can be helpful, and that is going to be the play here. 2-cost Saint Charles will mill 1 card, and it is a counter event that is milled out. Figon's not too happy about that, really would have preferred to have drawn that to hand instead, but again, fortunately for him, Luca is just drawing dead so far. But will that change with this top deck? It does. He gets the 5-cost Cavendish, which is a huge top deck for him. He will be able to play the 6-cost Law, returning that 1-cost Perona to hand, and then from there playing the Cavendish down rested, which will again give him 2 Dawn active as well, giving him quite a powerful turn. Now, what will be the play for Luca? Because if he does go for the Perona again this turn, he won't be able to attach 3 hold on onto his Zoro leader, which means that he won't be able to set himself active again if Vigon decides to block. Vigon, on the other hand, if you look at his trash, again, only has Saint Jupiter and Saint Marcus Mars. He only has those two plus the Saturn that's currently in his hand. Doesn't have Nazjuro, does not have Top Man Valkyrie, who is going to be a very crucial blocker in this matchup as well. Luca does have to think through his turn here. He could also choose to not play the Law this turn. He's really drawing pretty badly so far this game. One of the options here is also to, instead of returning the Perona to hand, he could play the Apu, rest this St. Charles, and then only then can he return the Apu back to hand and then play the Cavendish down from there, which is an option as well. But all of these options seem a little bit lackluster compared to anything else he has available. So let's find out what the play is going to be. He's considering holding on to 3 Dawn, has the Cavendish available. He can just play that for 3 effective Dawn, playing for 5 and then setting 2 Dawn active afterwards, and that will allow him to play that 1 cost Apu, set it up as a piece of removal for the following turn. But no, it's 3/3 instead. It is going to be that Law play after all, and we'll see him either return that Perona or that Mihawk to hand as either more 2k or another Searcher. And it is going to be the Perona, and there is the Cavendish now on play, sets 2 Dawn active, giving Luca 3 active Dawn again, which can all go on to his leader for a 8k swing into the face of Vigon. Now Vigon doesn't have a Never Existed, only has the World's Equilibrium, cannot be maintained forever, so it would still be a 2-card counter regardless. Does just go down to 2 life here, but does have 2 blockers and is still relatively healthy, all things considered. Vigon now drawing for turn, gets a Jupiter off of that life card. Still not one of the other unique saints he needs to see, and then top decks into another Jupiter as well. Again, not exactly the things that you're looking for. Leader effect, discarding that Sharia now will be able to draw into yet another not Elder. It is going to be Saint Mjolsgard here. Vigon really would like to get rid of this Cavendish this turn if possible, so most likely we're going to see him go for that 4 cost Saturn, looking for the remaining elders that he needs to have before the next crucial 10 Dawn turn. Vigon though does have 2 counter events available, so at the very least has that defense option for him. As you can see, with this 8 Dawn turn, he does have the option to use his leader effect to play down 1 body with the Empty Throne after the effect of Saint Saturn, and alternatively he can also go for the Saint Jupiter to make the Marcus Mars on board right now into a 7k attacker instead. But he is just considering his options. He does have that 19 cards in trash now, maybe going for that 6k swing into the Cavendish before doing anything else, but instead will go for that Saturn, looking out for an option. Maybe Nazjuro would be a great option here as well, but does not find it. At the very least, there is that 4 cost Saint Topman Valkyrie, which is again a really good card to have before that following turn, and he also finds his last 4 copy of the 10 cost 5 Elder Stars. Now the question here is if he is going to pick up that Valkyrie in order to make his next 10 cost turn much more impactful, or if he has to take this 10 cost in case he isn't able to find it again later. In my opinion, that 4 cost is probably a snap choice. If it were me, not having all of the elders available is really bad in this kind of position, but he is considering the Searcher instead. Considering the fact that he hasn't hit many of his elders yet, it is actually pretty likely that one Searcher could hit maybe both a Nazjuro and a Valkyrie as well. So that might be what Vigon is betting on right now. He may be going for, no, he is just going to grab the 10 cost, just wants to guarantee he has both copies of it, that he has in the game, because as you can see, he's already milled out 2 copies out of his deck earlier this game. Both of them already in the trash. The remaining 2 copies are in his hand. What is Figon going to do now though? For Dawn active, he does still have the option of playing down Valkyrie from, sorry, does still have the option of playing down the Jupiter, but Figon swings for 6 with his leader, and Luca lets it go, is not going to lose any hand cards right now to protect that Cavendish, is instead just going to leave it be. And Figon now has the option to just pass with all his Dawn open. He does have the Jupiter and will use that to start putting on the pressure. Maybe he's considering turning this Mars sideways, but that will give Luca an option to hit into it with his leader effect for free. It is going to be the case though. He does go for that 7k swing into the face of Luca already on his 8 Dawn turn. After all, the game is not going to be going on for that much longer. Luca though has been drawing dead over and over every single turn, hasn't found a single Tashigi just yet, and that is still not going to be it. Instead, it's just the Tashigi lookalike Kuina. That still is going to be a little bit helpful, because he can rest that 2-cost St. Charles and prevent that blocker from doing any work. But he really wants to see much better characters instead. Here is that Perona looking for those better characters that I just mentioned. A Tashigi here would be fantastic, and there it is. Finally, the first Tashigi of the game also has the restand event. Luffy is the man who will be king of the pirates, which could be great as well. I also see a 10-cost Shanks as an option for this search, but is probably not going to be the choice here. It is looking like that Tashigi, to just get a little bit more value, will allow him to rest that 4-cost Saint Saturn and prevent a 7k swing from coming into his face the following turn. But he will give it a little bit more thought. He's already been low rolling so far. He already lost the dice roll. He's already been in a bad spot the entire game, so he really needs to find a way to claw his way back into it. Figon still at 2 life, still at 6 cards in hand, still very, very healthy for an Emu in this position. And Luca has nothing so far. He doesn't have a restun event in hand either, so he may be considering to take that to try and force some form of lethal, because he hasn't been able to find anything so far. At the very least, he is still going to have 8 Dawn active, can play a 5-cost and also use the remaining Dawn to try and clear the board and put pressure on the face. So even Cavendish is an option here, but without the protection in the form of Koshiro or Tashigi, it is not going to stick the following turn after Figon plays his 10-cost Elders. Now, what is going to be the choice here is a little bit difficult. The 10-cost Shanks could be a way for him to have an additional body at the very least that is very likely to stick on the board, but that means his current turn is going to be really, really poor. He does not really have anything available to him at all. He can have that Kuina come down at the very least, so does have that as an option. But then what comes after? And you can see Luca is doing the math as to what makes the best possible turn this turn. He is of course aware that if he plays down a Tashigi right now, it's most likely going to the trash from Marcus Mars effect next turn without the defense available to protect it. And we already see 3 different Elders for Figon, and Luca makes that decision, grabs the 3-cost restand event instead, will have the Dawn available to go for 3 10k swings into the Marcus Mars as well as into Figon's face. We've seen Figon drop a lot of 2k counters over the course of the game, not from counter but by the effect of his leader, and in the trash, if you count it out, he has already discarded 4 2k counters and he also has 1 on the board. And here we're gonna see the Apu 1-cost come down, resting this St. Charles, getting a little bit of additional value as well, not allowing that blocker to do any work. 3 Dawn now going to be attached into the leader of the Zoro. 8k swing is sent into St. Marcus Mars, sends it straight into the trash. Leader effect will set this Zoro active again, allowing him to swing another time. But first, what is going to be the play? It is going to be a 7k swing from this 6-cost law into the face of Figon. He will counter out with the World's Equilibrium cannot be maintained forever instead of a 3 cost restand event, it is instead going to be the Mihawk swinging in for 7 as well, 3 don't attach. And now leader effect will set the Zoro active again. Here's another 7k swing who will be countered out by Mills Guard, and the 7 cost Jupiter Figon is still alive with the 2 elders on the board and currently going to his 10 dawn turn. Is he able to find another one of those elders though? No, once again it's just going to be Mars, who is not going to be a unique elder. Figon does still have his leader effect, can still look for one more option from the top of his deck, but he is going to want that option to be either Nazjiro or Topman Valkyrie for sure. Luca, despite his low roll, is still trying to find his way out of here and has pushed Figon down to 1 life and also has that restand event in hand. First things first, we're going to see Figon swing 6k into the Dracul Mihawk. We'll send it to the trash. Packing. Now leader effect going to not use it quite yet. 7k swing first into this 6 cost Trafalgar Law. Wants to clear the board as much as possible before using his leader effect and deciding what's going to happen. So first Kawamatsu is going to be held onto by Luca, considering using that to counter out of this 6k bodies 7k swing. Of course, if he does not counter, we're gonna see a 7k swing go into the face of Luca instead, and I'm sure Figon wants to stay alive another turn. Once again, still cannot find his Nazjiro or his Valkyrie, and is just gonna find another never existed. Figon may be considering not even playing the 10 cost this turn because he only has 3 of the 5 elders, and that means he only has 60% of his usual max potential. Might even just go for that Saturn to look for another searcher event possibly, or at least one of the other key elders that are in the deck. Other than that, he also has the option to just hold on. There they all are. They're all side by side. There is the Valkyrie and the Nazjiro all together. 3 copies of the Valkyrie, and we already saw one of them hit to the bottom earlier. So if he doesn't grab it now, he's not going to see it for a while. But there's also 2 copies of that Nazjiro, which is going to be so important. So as much as there is only going to be 2 choices here, I think it is going to be a difficult one. It does have to be the Valkyrie after all. It is a blocker that you do want to see after all as well. His leader will currently be able to play down the 10 cost elders using the effect of the empty throne. We are aware that Luca does have the restand event already. Now we're going to see a 7k swing again into the 6 cost law. Leader effect not used yet, sorry. 7k swing is countered out by the 4 cost Zoro, and here is the empty throne into the 10 cost 5 elder stars. We are only going to see 4 of those stars appear on the board, but that is going to be enough for now. Figon unfortunately doesn't have a choice, only has those 4 to choose. Nazjiro is finally an option for a Saturn search, so can pick that up. And just look at this deck with the full alternate arts by Gege Akutami, looking amazing. Of course, none of these are that special parallel rare with the added magic circles, but still looking fantastic as well. Now Luca is going to be happy that there is no Nazjiro available for Figon, so this 6 cost law lives to see another day, lives to see another turn, and may just be enough to win him this game. If we are looking at the statistics on the top left, the Dokuda Pirates have already won one of the tables, and that is the table 1 Ace Mirror. We are of course looking at table 3, the Green Zoro versus Emu player, and Luca has finally drawn into his Tashigi. He has both Tashigi and Kuina available for him to rest. The 6 cost and the 4 cost blockers on the side of Figon. But remember, Zoro, when he attacks a character, he may set himself active with that restand event as well. He has the potential to do 3 swings here and even force Figon to 0 life or even lethal. But that isn't going to be the case with 4 3k counter from Never Existed and 3k counter from the World's Equilibrium cannot be maintained forever. I don't expect Figon to be losing just this turn, even if Luca tries to dump all of his resters at once. What is going to be the play for him here though? Again, Tashigi can come down, however, without anything to protect her next turn. It is going to be fodder for that 6 cost Marcus Mars. But Luca is also keenly aware that there's only going to be one more 10 cost available in the deck of Figon, and that means that this game is going to be ending very soon. 5 Dawn held onto by Luca, considering that 5 cost Tashigi as the option. It is going to be rested. He is considering that as one of the best plays for him right now, and it will be the case. 5 cost Tashigi, the new flagship art, is going to be played. Rest that 4 cost top man Valkyrie now. 3 Dawn rested attached to the Roronoa Zoro leader. 5 remaining Dawn active can be spread between his leader, his Trafalgar Law, as well as setting 3 aside to use that restand event. And here we go with a 10k swing into the leader of Figon, setting him down to 0. We're forcing the restand event now out of Luca. He is going to use it, set Roronoa Zoro active. 10k attacker now going into the face again of Figon. Figon is going to block this, but even if he does, he won't be safe just yet. We'll still have to burn the counter, and that is going to be the case here. 7k counter will counter out of this swing, but Figon is now at 0 life, which is going to be very, very scary of a position against Green Zoro. So might just be a little bit worried about that as well. Luca though does have 3 cards in hand, and all of them being counter, one of them even the 0 cost event, which can be very useful. Figon considering to counter out with the both counter events, or the Never Existed and the 2k. And Never Existed 2k will be 11k total, which is just enough to counter out of this 10k swing. He is going to give... He doesn't have a 2k, so he's giving Never Existed and 2 1ks instead, which is certainly a choice. He also didn't set the Nazjuro in the trash to play off the 10 cost 5 Elder Stars this turn. And this also means if this 6 cost Law turns sideways, he does still have to burn the Equilibrium event. So has chosen an interesting choice for this turn, maybe trying to bait Luca to turn this Law sideways so that Figon can go for lethal, but I think that is not going to be the case here. We're going to see 5 attacks possible with the current board, and then with the 5 Elder Stars we can see another attack from that as well. But right now Figon is maybe considering going for lethal here, and all 5 attacks need to connect, and so does a 6 attack from hand, because this 6 cost Trafalgar Law becomes a blocker once Luca is at 1 life as well. So Figon really considering to go for lethal here, which is really, really interesting. Has no other option because of the way Luca has managed to push damage in thus far. Now, what is going to be his play here? Let's find out. 6k swing into Luca's face. He's considering the math. He can of course counter out of this, but may be concerned about how to find lethal after. Does just take this 6k swing, looking for more options again. Now the restand event is given to Luca off of that top life. He is going to be really happy to see that, and that is almost guaranteed lethal for him this turn coming right up. Now Figon will have a 7k swing from the 4 cost Saint Saturn, and he actually has the option to swing 7k 2 more times with the 2 Saint Nazjuros in hand. So this could be a very interesting turn. And we've also seen on the other side, the second table, the Sanroku Familia player has won this time, so will be able to try and push for lead. Will So this game is going to be the most important one yet. It is going to be the decider here on stream. Figon versus Luca. 5 cards available in hand for Luca now. With 6 Dawn, Figon can also delete one of the Trafalgar Law blocker and clear the path for the rest of his elders to go into the face of Luca with the remaining cards in hand. But look at how much counter Luca is representing right now. 0 cost event +2 +1 +1, that's 7k counter, which means lethal does seem quite a bit out of the range of Figon. Now let's see what the play is going to be here. 7k swing is going to be taken by Luca. He does find another 1 cost Hiyori, 1k counter leader. Again, going to be attacked by the Saint Marcus Mars. 3k counter will be enough to get out of it. He definitely has enough here, considering whether he wants to use that 0 cost event or the 1 cost Apu as the counter here. 1 cost Apu, of course, could still be used as a way to rest one of Figon's Charlos blockers that he might be playing around. So Luca is holding on to that 0 cost event, will be using that to counter out with a, I believe, Koshiro as well beside it. Blockers aren't going to be needed where Luca is going next turn, which is lethal. Luca here now going to be countering out of this 7k swing. And I think the question we're all thinking about is, does Figon have a way to live one more turn? Does swing that 7 cost Jupiter one more time into the face of Luca? 3k counter again required, or he does have to block with the Trafalgar Law. Figon though will be able to swing 2 more times with 2 separate Nazjuros, but they're only gonna be going in for 7k and 8k, which may not be enough with 1 blocker on the board. So could he instead just go for that 5 Elder Stars play again, get rid of this 5 cost Tashigi at the very least? But again, Luca's hand is definitely poised for lethal the following turn. He both has Kuina and the 3 cost restand event. He is going to be swinging very, very big into Figon. You're going to see 11 into 11 into 11 into Figon's face. And with his current hand, he can't counter out of that twice. So what is it going to be, Figon? We are going to see time being called in the round. It is going to be Luca's turn right now, so we'll have to pass to Figon, back to Luca, and then back to Figon again. It is going to be 3 turns total. What is Figon going to do here? It is looking like the 10 cost 5 Elder Stars as the play. He's holding on to the empty throne, and he really wants to fill it with his own team's name, getting the 3-on-3 Autumn Champion title. But is it in the cards for him? We have to see. After Figon uses that 5 Elder Stars, he will play all 5 elders on the board again, using Saint Saturn's effect, draw an additional card, and then using Saint Marcus Mars effect, will discard 1 to get rid of this 5 cost Tashigi. Here is the empty throne now rested, 3 Dawn rested as well. Is it going to be the 5 Elder Stars, or are we going to see him gamble with the Nazjuro into Nazjuro? It is going to be the Elder Stars. Now 1 Dawn is rested for the 5 Elder Stars, discarding the Nazjuro, who finally makes his way onto the board for the first time this game. 5 elders are gathered again onto the board. Now we're looking for 5 with the Saint Saturn. There is no more counter events available, only Top Man Valkyrie that we saw him see multiple copies of earlier this game, and it is going to be the only reasonable option to add to hand. He also does have the Searcher as well. He may have another counter event available in the deck, so the Searcher is, I think, an option still. But let's find out from Figon after he looks through his trash whether there's another counter event available to him. Does not seem to be the case though, which means it is going to be the Valkyrie. If I remember correctly, these Valkyries were stacked together with the Nazjuro as well. So we're just going to see multiple Nazjuro come down off of this next search. It is going to be the 5 elders at your service chosen, who will then use Mars effect to KO this 5 cost Tashigi. Figon is going to now use the elders are at your service to look at the top 3, and there it is. There is the Nazjuro and the Valkyrie, as mentioned earlier, is going to be the choice off of this search, but doesn't really do much to affect the current board state. Now we're going to attach the remaining Dawn that we have available to the Nazjuro, leaving 4 active Dawn available to play around the effects of Ashura Dead Man's game. Instead, we'll just be leaving 3 Dawn active instead and going for a 9k swing into the face of Luca, and also most likely reducing the power of this 6 cost law such that he will have to block. 9k counter is not available for Luca without discarding this Tashigi, and so he just lets the law go. He says, I don't need characters, I have my face, and with my face I will declare one simple thing: 4 cost Kuina. Now resting itself, and also Saint Topman Valkyrie attaching 3 rested Dawn to my leader. The 3 more active Dawn attached to the face of Lucas Rono Zoro. 11k swing now is given into the face of Figon. 7k counter will do the trick, and Figon does indeed have that in the equilibrium and never existed. However, does not have enough to answer when Roronoa Zoro screams, Luffy is the man who will be the king of the pirates. 11k swing is now blocked by Saint Marcus Mars, and the last 11k swing is going into the heart of Figon, and the game is sealed by the 3 sword style of Roronoa Zoro, taking the game despite the insane low roll that he had in the early stages of the game. What amazing comeback he managed to find from that last couple of turns, and congratulations to the Dokura Pirates on their victory. That being said, friendos and randos, thank you for watching the entire series of games. It was really fun to cast. I will see you guys next time. Peace out.